friction, conduction, induction. Have you ever wondered how objects acquire charges? Hello, Cypals! I'm Sir R. Himor, your science teacher for today. In this episode of Agham Alam Hub, we're going to describe the different types of charging processes. We will demonstrate how objects are charged through friction, conduction, and induction. Finally, we will explain how subatomic particles behave during and after the charging process. In the next few minutes, we will explore science for another moment. Remember, the atom is the smallest unit of matter. It is composed of subatomic particles called protons, neutrons, and electrons. Protons are positively charged, while electrons are negatively charged. Meanwhile, neutrons have neutral charge. The varying atomic compositions of different materials give them different electrical properties. Take note that only electrons are transferred or gained by objects when they undergo charging processes. When electrons are transferred or an object loses electron, the object becomes positively charged. However, if the object gains or acquires electrons, the object becomes negatively charged. In addition, when an object does not lose nor gain electrons, the object has a neutral charge. In fact, most of the objects around us are electrically neutral, which means that they have equal number of protons and electrons. In order to charge an object, we need to change the number of electrons in the object. There are three types of charging processes. The first type is charging by friction. It is a process that involves the rubbing of one material on another material, resulting in the electrons moving from one object to another. One object loses electrons, making it positively charged, while the other gains electrons, making it negatively charged. To identify which material will likely become positively or negatively charged, we need to consider the triboelectric series. The triboelectric series is a list that ranks materials according to their tendency to gain or lose electrons and how they develop a charge relative to other materials. Let us look at the table of the triboelectric series. Based from the table, glass has the highest tendency to lose electrons, while polyester tends to gain more electrons. Let us demonstrate charging by friction using a plastic roll, a piece of polyester cloth, and bits of tissue paper. Rub the polyester cloth on the plastic roll for a few seconds and slowly move it towards the bits of tissue paper. Notice the behavior of bits of tissue paper as we move the plastic roll near them. Some bits are attracted to the plastic roll, while the others are repelled. Take note that like charges repel and unlike charges attract. Since the plastic roll has the tendency to become positively charged, this means that the attracted sides of the bits of tissue paper are negatively charged. Furthermore, the repulsion of the bits of tissue paper from the plastic roll indicates that both objects possess the same charge. The second type of charging process is charging by conduction. It is a process that involves touching or contact of charged object to a neutral object. To demonstrate this, we will use a plastic tube, polyester cloth, and an improvised electroscope. The electroscope is an early scientific instrument used to detect the presence of electric charge on an object. To demonstrate charging by conduction, let us first charge our plastic tube through friction using the polyester cloth. After doing so, directly contact the plastic tube with the aluminum sphere. And notice how the aluminum foil of the other end of the electroscope behaves. Based from our demonstration, the electroscope has a neutral charge at the beginning of the experiment. When the plastic tube was charged by friction and came into contact with the aluminum sphere, the aluminum foil on the other end became charged as shown by its movement. The third type of charging process is charging by induction. It is a process that charges an object without actually touching the object to any other charged object. Charging by induction is where the charged particles of the object is held near an uncharged conductive material that is grounded on a neutrally charged material. To demonstrate charging by induction, we will use a polyester cloth, a plastic tube, and an empty tin can. First, charge the plastic tube by friction using polyester cloth. After doing so, slowly move the charged tube towards the tin can. Make sure that it does not touch the can and notice its reaction. Even without directly touching the tin can, the charge of the plastic tube caused the can to move closer as its particles are attracted to the charge of the tube. It is important that during the different charging processes, the amount of charge lost by the object is equal to the amount of charge gained by the other object. This idea comes from the law of conservation of charges. It states that charges cannot be created nor destroyed, but can be transferred from one material to another. Thus, the total charge in a system remains constant. In this episode of Agham Alamhab, we described and demonstrated the different types of charging processes. Charging by friction is a process that involves the rubbing of materials against each other, which causes the transfer of electrons. Charging by conduction involves touching, contact of the charged objects to a neutral object. Charging by induction is a charging method that charges objects without actually touching the object to any other charged object. We also explained how subatomic particles behave during and after the charging process. Like charges repel and unlike charges attract. Only electrons are transferred or gained by objects when they undergo charging processes. When electrons are transferred or an object loses electrons, the object becomes positively charged. However, if the object gains or acquires electrons, the object becomes negatively charged. In addition, when an object does not lose nor gain electrons, the object has a neutral charge. That's all for today, Sci-Pals. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. See you again next week for another a moment. Only here in ang Ham Alam Hub Palajan SciTech Portal. Bye!